She went from scaling teeth to scaling her business, making a bold career shift from dental hygiene to real estate.
People were saying that I had the most dangerous job in the world at that time because the virus was spread orally, and here I was working in that environment every day. So I went back to work. I worked 4 hours, and I said, you know what? I think the world changed enough that I'm ready to do something different. And I had always had that passion that I wanted to try real estate again. And that is what I decided to do. BNI had a plan. And what I really loved was I saw that it was trackable. They kept up with the numbers. And I was like, wow, that's what Mary Kay did. You know, and they gave me statistics. And I enjoyed that. I like to see my progress.
Yes.
I liked recognition. I liked having resources that I could go to learn more about it. They had everything that appealed to me, my personality, and as a business owner. So I drank the Kool-Aid, and here I am.
Welcome to the Perfect 100, the podcast for BNI members who want to maximize their membership, deepen their impact, and grow their business through intentional networking. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak, a CliftonStrengths coach, longtime BNI leader, and one of the few members worldwide to maintain a perfect Power of One score. Each week, we'll explore the habits, mindsets, and everyday strategies of BNI members who are turning their membership into momentum. Hello, and welcome back to the Perfect 100 podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak. Today, I'm joined by someone that I've had the privilege of knowing since 2020, Jane Massie. She went from scaling teeth to scaling her business, making a bold career shift from dental hygiene to real estate. We're going to dive into the story behind that switch, what it really meant to step into the driver's seat of her career, how she built her personal brand from the ground up, and how she's leveraging her natural talents to lead both a chapter and a business. She's known for her drive, her heart, and her commitment to doing things the right way. Jane, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's really special for me to be here with you.
Definitely my pleasure. All right, let's kick things off the way we do every week with a 45-second commercial. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Jane Massie with Crye-Leike Realtors. I am a full-time realtor that's licensed in Mississippi and Tennessee, and I specialize in residential and land, but I think my passion is with the residential because it seems to be more of where more emotions are involved. And so my clients tell me that they appreciate the fact that I walk them hand to hand, step to step through the entire process. I give them a lot of information because I want them to be able to make informed decisions and make their own informed decisions and not feel like they don't have any control in a transaction, because it's not a transaction. It is something very personal to them, because people don't buy or sell because it's a business. I work with individuals and families more so than I do investors. And there is always a transition that causes someone to decide whether or not it's time to buy or a time to sell. And I want that to be a positive, memorable experience for all my clients. So I'm Jane Massie with Crye-Leike Realtors.
Awesome. I mentioned that you started your career helping people smile, literally, and now you help them find homes. What inspired that major career shift? And when did you know that once you made that change, it was the right move?
I actually had gotten my real estate license around 2000. And I could not figure out, how can I go show a house if I'm cleaning someone's teeth? And it wasn't a good time to give up a guaranteed paycheck. So COVID, which brought about so many changes in our society and in business, was what actually was the catalyst that caused me to make that move. For the first time in my life, I was laid off. I never thought I would ever see unemployment. But during COVID, we were laid off in March, and I went back to work in May. And the world had changed, and it impacted dentistry and medicines. I can't even explain how much it impacted it. And people were saying that I had the most dangerous job in the world at that time because the virus was spread orally, and here I was working in that environment every day. So I went back to work. I worked 4 hours, and I said, you know what? I think the world changed enough that I'm ready to do something different. And I had always had that passion that I wanted to try real estate again. And that is what I decided to do. I went home and wrote my letter of resignation that night. And 2 weeks later, I was ready to start a different journey, which I did.
Yeah. That's, I mean, I can't imagine. I can't even imagine just putting my hands in people's mouths on a on a daily basis. Because that alone, I went and had my teeth cleaned like 2 weeks ago, and I said to the hygienist, I'm like, I don't know how you people can do this every day. Let alone, and because I'm kind of a germaphobe, and COVID only made it worse for me. So let alone dealing with a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. I don't know if you have any insight on the having that as a career for however long. How long were you a hygienist? It was a long time, right?
Started in 1989,
Okay.
and I ended it and retired in 2020.
Yeah. So I think that's a calling. People need it, and
Actually love the technical part of what I did, and I love the relationships that I built with people, but it just didn't allow me to grow as an individual and tap into all my other skills and talents the way real estate has, and being an entrepreneur and doing what I always did well, but doing it for myself. You know,
right. Yeah, it makes a
it's
big
been
difference,
incredible.
right? Yeah,
Do what?
I said it makes a big difference working for
Yeah.
yourself. So that's a lot of people's story in BNI, that going out on your own after having worked for somebody, being in charge of your own thing. But that's also a scary thing, right? Is now you're in charge of your own paycheck 100%. Was that how did you know it was the right move for you?
It was terrifying. um, it was something that I thought about for a long, long time, and I had the funds at that time. I didn't just make a knee jerk decision based off of COVID. I had been planning to do something different. I was actually in school to get a master's degree in leadership because I wanted to teach at UT. And you don't make as much teaching as you do practicing. And there's a lot more red tape in everything you do. But I was burned out in just the day to day clinical dental atmosphere, and I wanted to do something different. And I knew I had a lot of knowledge that I could give back to others. So that was the direction I was heading. And then when COVID hit, I realized that teaching, man, if my life changed in just the clinic part, my gosh, what would it be like in teaching? And it was just going to be too restrictive. And I just knew this was the best time for me to do it. But as I said, I had put, I had things that I had put in place. So when I decided to make that transition, I could do it without the fear of could I pay bills. I had, a resource there waiting in case I needed it.
Yeah,
Which in real estate, you're gonna need it.
yeah.
You're gonna need it.
Yeah, they tell you, right, to always have enough money to pay 6 months of bills, and I did that with when I started my journey. I bought everything I thought I could ever need to run my business, and then, and then made that leap. So, it's always good to have a backup plan, so to speak, so if it doesn't kick off right away, which sometimes it doesn't, that, takes time to build, that you have that fallback position. Now, I met you at the beginning of your real estate journey, because at that time I was doing portrait photography full time, and you came to me for a now infamous headshot.
Everybody knows that pink jacket.
Yes, so
I've been
Jane,
told I can never sell the pink jacket. I can never give
yeah.
it away.
Yeah, I think I'll put that on the cover image of the thumbnail for YouTube, so just so everybody can see the famous. This is everybody has commented to Jane on her headshot with her pink jacket, which is exactly what we want for branding, right? Is we want people to.
Absolutely.
And I think you and I both share a hair branding thing that
Me
I could
too.
never I could never change my hair because people tend to notice me for the hair. You know, you can pick me out of a room because that's what people are looking for. And my husband's like, you never can cut your hair short because that's a thing now. But I know your brand building was that an inherent thing for you, or I know you spent a lot of time and you came back later for a full portrait session when I was still shooting full time, and we talked a lot about your brand and you building it. You hired a videographer. Talk to me a little bit about that journey in building that brand.
Well, I don't think the hairstyle was intentional, but when I started talking to you about the headshot, you said, "Okay, go grab some of your jackets or what," because I wear the jacket and the button down and the collars. And you said, "Go grab something out of your closet," and I did, and I started sending you photographs. And I I think I just went to Macy's or somewhere, and I saw that pink jacket, and I said, "Well, that kind of stands out." And I took that and sent it to you, and you said, "Run with it,"
Oh,
and
yeah.
we did. So you played an important role in me picking that.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly that conversation, but I knew that the pink in your hair color, was gonna pop. So I was so happy that it turned into a thing. So you've built a reputation now in being a real estate agent. I know that you're a reliable person, you're a caring person. Those are things that people respond to. What do you love most about the being a realtor now?
Well, some people would, if you asked other realtors, they'd probably say, having um, the control over their schedule. And I have found that I work m- every day of the week. I work long hours because my personality is that you do what it takes to get it done. And I've always enjoyed helping other people get what they want. It gives me a purpose and makes me feel a sense of fulfillment when I help someone else. So I think that's probably the biggest reward that I've had and look forward to is, helping somebody else get what they want. And homes, that's a big thing. It's the investment someone, the largest investment someone probably will ever make.
Right. Yeah, and the biggest change that moving and all of that is one of the most stressful things that people go through, and you're right there in the thick of it with them.
Absolutely.
So it is demanding. It's lots of hours, lots of moving parts. People are counting on you. What helps you stay focused and productive when all those things are hitting all at once?
Anxiety. I'm joking. Anxiety does make you do things and stay on top of it. But it's mostly good anxiety, anticipation, knowing that someone has put their trust in me and that if I don't do what I told them that I was going to do, it's going to not only hurt them, but it's going to hurt their trust in me and my integrity. And I I have a need, I guess, to show people who I am. I don't want to just say, "Hey, these are all the things I'm going to do for you." I want to do those things plus things that you don't even expect.
Right.
I want someone at the end of, the day they get the keys or the day that they get their funds to say, "You know what? I mean, you're the best realtor I've ever worked with. I've never had anyone that kept me in the loop and that was able to, you know, get me information that I could trust and that you were transparent enough to say, hey, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to this is, but to not have an ego and to go ahead and reach out to other people to try to find the best answers, because sometimes there's more answers than one to questions and things. Every real estate transaction and every client brings different variables that you can't control, you can't foresee. Things just happen, and when they happen, it's how do you react to those things and help somebody get past the bumps in the road,
Right. Well,
because
and
there are definitely bumps in the road.
yes. Well, we're gonna get to your Clifton strengths because a lot of the things you just said play to all of the things you just said. But it seems like you're a solutions-oriented person. Have you always been that way, or is that just more so now that you kind of are in a position that you have to be?
I think I've always been a problem solver. Um, I don't look forward to problems. Let me be clear of that. Of course, when the seas are calm and you have smooth sailing, that's what everybody wants. But the winds come up and the water gets choppy a lot of times. And I've just always been the one that didn't want to sit back and be passive when there was a problem. That I jumped in and I did what was needed to be done to help find the solution. I didn't always have to be the person that could solve the problem, but I was definitely the person that was going to talk to enough people that we got a solution. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, and so I'm gonna change gears a little bit. I remember, inviting you to your very first BNI meeting, more than once, I think, but I knew behind the scenes that we were gonna have a change in realtors in our chapter, and I was kind of trying to sprinkle the seeds away, before that change was gonna happen, so I invited you. So tell me, what was your first impression when you came to BNI, and what made you decide to join later?
Okay, so I love this story, and I've shared it at our visitors days, and just remind people. And I think it's important to hear my story and others that are similar to it to people that are in BNI, because a lot of times we're scared to offer the opportunity to other people. And you sent me a text and you said, do you know anyone, not me, but do you know anyone that would benefit from word of mouth referrals? And I was like, gosh, who would that be? You know,
Hmm.
I started thinking about everybody else I knew. And I said, well, it could be me. What are you talking about? And you gave me, just enough to make me go, gosh, I don't, I don't have time to go to a meeting in Memphis.
Right.
So because I knew you and I wanted to help you. I think I started texting you names of other people that you could contact. And then I even, like a week later, I even reached out to them and I was like, did you decide to go to that meeting, that my friend Tammy invited you to? And I was getting back, crickets. So I started feeling bad and I reached back to you and I was like, so did you ever hear from any of those people I recommended to you? And you were like, no. And then I was like, I gotta go help my friend out. So I said, okay, I'll make time to go. And once I got there, I was like, this is so weird. They're ringing the bell if somebody talks over 60 seconds. They're passing around a sack and they're putting little pieces of paper in it. And, but then I started going, wait a minute. And it didn't happen while I was at the meeting, okay? I left the meeting going, what did I just experience? I don't know. And then, like a week later, it hit me. Oh, now, okay, I'm starting to see that this could be a way for me to get word of mouth referrals that's not going to cost me thousands of dollars every month in my business. Because this is what I've been working for anyway. I was just had not been in real estate that long to really get a lot of repeat business from my clients. You know, they were referring me, but and I believe I was at top of mind because I still do get a lot of referrals from my sphere of influence, but, you know, it just takes time to get that organic type of referral. And I
Yes.
was like, "Ooh, this could be a way where I could get the word of mouth referrals that are built on trust the same way my past clients can pass me referrals, but I can multiply it more like the pebble going across the water and the ripples that it creates." So
Right.
that's what made me say, "Hey, let's take a more in-depth look at this and see." And it was about me. At that time, it was about me.
Right. Well, and then we came to you later and said, so Jane lives in Mississippi. We're in Tennessee. I invited her to my Tennessee chapter, which, I mean, isn't at the end of the day all that far, but far enough. And you're trying to build your, clientele closer to your central area. So somebody, I don't know who it was, put your name in and said, hey, you should talk to Jane about starting a new chapter in her area. How did that go? Life's busy from morning drop offs to weekend ball games. That's why Michelle Wilson State Farm makes protecting your home, car, and life simple. Real people, real service every day. Call Michelle Wilson State Farm. Here's for life's everyday moments. 901-590-1922.
Well, I was invited immediately to go to a leadership training, and I feel terrible, but I don't remember the guy's name. Maybe a new regional manager or
James, maybe?
national.
James.
James?
Yeah,
James.
probably.
Okay. So I actually went and sat in on what felt like a workshop for people that, had been in BNI and understood it. And it really clicked with me. Part of my past that you probably know that I don't talk about much was that I had actually had experience in Mary Kay. In my 30s, I got into Mary Kay. I'd never worn makeup. I didn't use skincare. I washed my hair with shampoo, then I washed my face with shampoo.
Oh my.
And but I wanted to start a business, and so Mary Kay had all these tools and resources and support. And I mean, I was just said, golly, this is an opportunity to do something different. And I got into Mary Kay and I just followed. To me, it's like baking a cake. You've got ingredients, and if you put all the ingredients in the cake and follow the directions that other people say this is going to make the best moist, delicious cake you could ever have. If you follow the directions, you're going to get the desired outcome. And that was the same thing with Mary Kay. I mean, within a year, I'd earned my first car with Mary Kay. Within the second year, I'd earned the second. I had 88 women in my, um, goodness,
Downline.
yeah, that's not exactly the term, but you get where I'm going. In my
Yes.
unit.
Okay.
In my unit. I had 88 women in my unit, and I was the first sales director from Mississippi that was ever invited to speak at a national conference.
Awesome.
So BNI had a plan, and what I really loved was I saw that it was trackable. They kept up with the numbers, and I was like, wow, that's what Mary Kay did. And they gave me statistics, and I enjoyed that. I like to see my progress. I liked recognition. I liked having resources that I could go to learn more about it. They had everything that appealed to me, my personality, and as a business owner. So I drank the Kool-Aid, and here I am, and I love it.
Yes, yes. So you've been a loud, proud member, and let's roll over to your Power of One. Speaking of recognition, so your Power of One, you are a perfect 100. Click, clap, clap, golf clap. So I don't need to read it because you're green and 20 points all the way across, a perfect 100. And I'll talk while it's up on the screen. We also have your Palms report. So this is 24 or 25 weeks, I guess. No, it's 24 weeks. You've had 0 absences. Looks like you've had a sub or 2, but that does not count as a absence because you have a sub. Referrals given inside, 20. Referrals given outside, 43. Referrals received inside, 0. Referrals received outside, 8. Visitors, 6. Or does that say? Yep, that says 6. One-to-ones, 42. Thank you for closed business given $58,853 and 24 CEUs. And I'll repeat, that was in 24 weeks. So you have given a boatload of referrals. Talk to me about that.
So, like I said, when I got into BNI, I thought it was all about me and what could I get out of BNI. After I learned more about it, because I did do CEUs, I went to all the meetings. Um, I got I started to see the giver's gain. And as a realtor, when I got in it, I didn't realize it, but I've always known that I was the resource where people just come back to me and they're like, "Hey, do you know a handyman? Do you know a roofer? Where do I go for insurance?" And so I always had contacts in my phone, but I didn't always know who those people were. I was giving people referral based off of secondhand knowledge. When I started participating and our chapter started growing and I started to go every week and meet these people, I was able to just build up my collection of,
Trust,
resources.
yeah, trusted.
Yeah, it trusted, people that I knew would not only do a good job, they would follow up, they had a reputation. I could trust who they were and I could trust sending them to my clients because, you know, my reputation is impacted by the people that I say, hey, this is someone that is reliable, that does quality work, it, that won't leave you hanging. So when I made that referral, I know we're going to get a good result. And when things in the past, when I've made those referrals and they call me and they go, hey, that contractor, I've called like 4 times. I mean, they're not calling me back.
Right,
That makes me look bad.
right.
So it's really important to have people you trust.
Yeah, love that. I think that's no matter what your position, but especially for a realtor to have that arsenal of people that you can pull out and say, I've done business with these people. I trust they're going to show up at your house and do a good job. It's a lot. It's not more meaningful, but it's as meaningful as it can be, in terms of how they feed your reputation, right? Is we all care if I recommend somebody that they do a good job, but yours is can make or break your deal can hinge on whether or not they do a good job because they might be before the deal happens, right? They could be somewhere in the middle of the deal happening, depending on what the circumstances are in some cases, I would imagine.
Yes. And could I elaborate on something else about giver's gain? As the realtor, I have many opportunities to refer other chapter members. But I didn't actually receive my first true BNI closed, thank you for closed business, referral until this, October. So I'd been in BNI for 10 months before I received something. Now, I did have something in the beginning, full transparency. I did, there was a transaction that was already in place when I got into BNI, and we recorded it because we closed it down the road after I was in it. But it didn't come from BNI, but it happened while I was in BNI, and it was two BNI chapter members. But it took 10. So if you look at my numbers and you see how many referrals that I've given, um, I think other people in my chapter and other chapters, if you're sitting there thinking about, well, I'm not getting anything out of BNI, I think you have to ask yourself, what are you giving to BNI? And are you actually utilizing all the tools and resources that BNI give you? I look at the Power of One when every month when it comes in. I'm on the leadership team. I'm the secretary, and I don't know if everybody in BNI gets to see the Power of One of other
They do.
chapters in our area.
Yes.
And the two areas that I see that, in my opinion, are lacking across the board are continuing education hours and bringing visitors. And this may be something you were already going to talk about, but if you don't mind,
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just continue. So I found at first, I was like, golly, I don't want to take, an hour out of my time to listen to 4 podcasts or participate in this video session, which I don't even remember the correct terminology for them. But I found when I was driving, it was really easy to go to Spotify and put on podcast and, in less than 2 hours, knock 8 of those out, get really good information, and be able to record that I had 2 hours of continuing education. The other part of that is visitors.
Yes.
Visitors bring so much life to your BNI chapter. Whether they join or not, just by having them there is like a catalyst to elevating people's emotions within the room. So if you're in BNI and you feel like your meetings are stale, are you bringing visitors? That's what I want to know. Are you bringing visitors? Are you letting other people bring visitors? Because you might get business from the visitor that somebody else brought. But if you bring a visitor, maybe someone else in your BNI might get business from that person being in the room. And then if they join, wow, imagine that. I was doing the math on how much our seats are worth. And with 17 members right now, which we started out with I think we got up to 22, but people get sick, jobs change, babies are born, people die, not our member, but people in your family die. I mean,
Life happens.
change, right?
Yeah.
And so we've gone down to 17 members, but we have 3 that are joining, which is great. But I did the math on, we've done about $711,000 worth of business in our chapter. And honestly, I don't think we really started keeping up with those numbers until probably the 1st of March. We just started in January. We still had people that didn't even know they had access to 2 apps by March, So a lot of recording wasn't done. But if you take the number of members that we have with the volume of business that we've closed in that short amount of time, every seat in our BNI chapter is worth over $44,000.
Nice. Yeah. That's it says a lot, and people don't not everybody tends to look at it the way all the things you just said. So you and I share the same viewpoint on all of those things. One of the things, and I don't know why, how do I put this? I had 20, my chapter was lovely and gave me an award for being contributing to the chapter. And the point that was made was I brought 25 visitors for the last term, and you're on track for, pretty similar to that. So everybody struggles, it seems. I mean, I go out and I meet people and I do things, so I invite them.
Right.
And I put myself in places where I'm going to meet people who are in business because I need to meet people who are in business I'm a business coach. I need to meet other people that do that as growing my business, but so does everybody else. Everybody else needs to be doing it. So I'm going to ask you, how do you find your visitors?
I took my blinders off. I quit thinking about it, what is in it for me, and why would I want to keep that opportunity from somebody else? And that's what I constantly try to reiterate in our chapter meetings is take your blinders off. If I had been sitting in BNI going, this doesn't work, I haven't gotten anything from BNI, I probably wouldn't share the opportunity because I don't think I would po- possibly see the value in it. But I saw it helping other people in my chapter. And that's when I took my blinders off. And any entrepreneur, it's worth just saying, hey, you know, I'm a part of Business Networking International. We're just a group of entrepreneurs and business owners or people that work within businesses that meet and share word of mouth referrals. I learned it from you, you know? You don't have to go in, you don't have to spew everything about BNI the first time you meet them. Just invite them to come. Let them experience what BNI is. If they're interested, they will ask for more information, and that's when you give them more information because although we do want to grow BNI, BNI is not for everybody at every moment in their business.
Right. Yeah, and the consistency of, again, and we're gonna get to your CliftonStrengths here in just a minute, but the consistency to be at 100. So you started in January, you're at 100, and this is November for those that are listening to it later. That's, we're at the very beginning of November, so that's 10 months. The Power of One, all the core company-owned regions get the Power of One. Every individual gets it sent to them. I'm not sure, I can't speak to all the franchise ones, but you're we're seeing it. So we're the recognition bit is coming across an email, every month. We're due for a new one here in a couple days. So there's a consistency and a follow through that is required to kind of put yourself at 100 for 6 months, especially when you're new. So is that just because that is your personality? I'll give it away. Your first CliftonStrengths is achiever. Achievers like to achieve, and and I have achiever in my top group as well. Achievers like to see their name at the top, and they want to climb the mountain and be at the top. So is that simply or is there, to me, there's obviously more, and I'm guessing there's more to it for you, but
I think
tell me about that.
right, absolutely. So, two of my Clifton strengths are achiever and competition.
Yeah.
And I will, you know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that I'm competing with somebody else. I play golf, and it's always a competition within myself to be better at what I'm doing. So I think it's more about me than it is other people. But we tend to raise have a bar or a standard that but compare ourselves to others.
Yes.
So I do enjoy the recognition, but it does not. I'm also a supporter and a cheerleader for other people when they're, striving to have success in certain areas. But when I first got into it, it was about me, and I wanted to achieve certain goals, but it was also about commitment. And I stood up in front of the group one day and I just said, I don't think I've really been doing my job as secretary. Um, I haven't been bringing visitors. I haven't been doing continuing education. I had been coming to all the meetings. I mean, if I give you my word that I'm going to be a part of something and I'm going to come to a weekly meeting, I'm going to come to a weekly meeting. So I'm responsible
Yes, you
and
are.
reliable. And, but commitment, I stood up and I said, hey, I can't ask you to do something that I won't do myself. So I'm committed to our chapter and to the power of one. Just, putting it out there like you could do this too, It's not easy. I'm not sitting at home all day waiting to do something for BNI. I'm out there working my business every day. I'm inherently active, busy all the time. It's just I'm driven to stay busy. And I know not everyone is made like me, and I appreciate that, but I still think it's a commitment. And if you make a commitment, you need to fulfill it.
Yeah. So let's let the cat out of the rest of the cat out of the bag, I guess, and show your Clifton strengths. So your top five, your number one is achiever. You work hard and possess a great deal of stamina. You take immense satisfaction in being busy and productive. Number two is harmony. You look for consensus. You have no use for unnecessary friction and guide others toward practical solutions. Number three, responsibility. You take psychological ownership of your commitments. You are dependable and embrace values such as honesty and loyalty. Number four is developer. You recognize and cultivate the potential in others. You spot the signs of each small improvement and love when you see someone make progress. And number five, competition. You measure progress against the performance of others. You love contests and need to win. So, I want to call attention to the fact that this happened. So I've been this year. I think you're number 27 in the list of people I've interviewed on this podcast. So if you're listening and you haven't heard the first 26, you have lots of hours of CEUs to listen to, and you can get them all in 1 hour here. You can just turn it. The biggest
That's
thing I hear
true.
from yeah, people just plug it in and go, and they get a whole hour. Don't have to change a thing. But I wanted to call attention to the fact that the questions that I ask you up to this point are revealing your strengths, right? You've said exceeding expectations, being transparent. You're out there doing your work, and you feel responsible for if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. So, were there any surprises when you got your report, or did it hit home for you?
Staying ahead in a world driven by technology is key. At Wisdom Integrators, we don't just solve problems, we create opportunities. Wisdom Integrators, connecting your world, solving your problems.
There were no surprises. I've done different types of personality types over tests over the years. So I really have a good idea of my strengths, and that's what I try to improve and build upon are my strengths. And
Right.
harmony is one that we didn't really talk about, but
We will, but yeah, go ahead.
we're going to. Okay. Well,
No, go
I'll
for it. Tell me
Oh,
more.
I was just gonna say, especially in real estate, but I think in any type of leadership position, your goal is to help people unite, not to cause division. And it seems to me that every time there is a place in a negotiation or a contract where there is a problem, it's usually it will go back to lack of communication and understanding. And I've always been the one that came in when I saw whether it was two friends or two co-workers or um, a doctor and a patient, it just every place in my life where I could see that there was lack of communication or lack of understanding or a miscommunication where I could sense that we weren't talking about apples and apples. We were talking about apples and oranges. And I always tried to say, can you help us understand what you're really saying, and then how are you interpreting what they're saying? And I have to do that with myself constantly, because me being a driven driver type personality, I can hear one thing and I'm like ready to get to go. It's just like, okay, got a green light. And sometimes I have to even tell myself, wait a minute, did you really understand what you were being told? And in negotiations, it's about buyers and sellers and realtors and lenders and attorneys and closing companies all communicating and understanding what is happening in the moment. Or you will end up with a terminated contract.
Right.
And people that are unhappy and stressed out.
Right. Well, you have the blend of harmony and developer, and those two things together create growth in a peaceful way and a productive way. So, you work well with other people and you love seeing people improve. So, that speaks to all the things you just said, is bringing all those parties together where they might not recognize their lack of whatever in that area, but you see it and you can change that for them. Have you found that that helps you lead or collaborate with others better, or even succeed in BNI in a better way?
It does. I don't always want to be the person in charge, but I think different parts of my personality, just kind of automatically people see me as a leader because I'm not passive. I'm actively involved in whatever endeavor that I have chosen to participate in. And all that, sometimes that's all it takes, is being active and stepping forward and taking on responsibilities when nobody else in the room will do it. And the next thing you know, you're a leader.
Yeah. Well, and we only have your top 5 here. You may want to unlock the rest of them. And I would guess you may have command somewhere in there in that top 10-ish, which helps people lead. But you also, the blend of achiever and responsibility, that's where that drive, that and the ownership. So you achiever wants to work hard, get things done, and the responsibility, the follow through, right? If I said I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make sure it happens. So you feel personally accountable, and you've said that several times here, even when I reached out to you initially with by the way, that was a recruiter tactic. When I was a recruiter for 5 years, that's how we found people, is we would call them up. If I knew I had a position open for a plant manager, I would call other plant managers and say, hey, I've got this great position for a plant manager. Do you know any of your friends, or in your circle that would be interested in this, all the wonderful things? And they're like, hold on.
Right.
Like, you want to
What
be
about me?
so it works really well for BNI as well. It's not something I do all the time, and you reminded me of it. I've forgotten that I did that even, but
Mhm.
it is something that is really easy, because when you wanted to help, as you said, and that's the help becomes you.
Absolutely.
So that's an amazing thing. But back to the achiever and responsibility, they take patience and leadership. So what have you learned, whether it's in BNI or as a real estate agent, about that patience and leadership? How do they bring people together towards a shared goal?
Patience and leadership. Gosh, I don't have patience.
Well, you don't think you do, but as a developer is somebody who wants to see everybody succeed, right? They want to take the little, and sometimes it's hard to do that, but you push through it. So, how do you? Let's just take the patience out, and how do you? Because you're not seeing yourself that way, but how that shared goal? How do you get people to do that?
Patience might not necessarily, I might not be seeing this as patience, but consistency and repeating, because when you say something the first time, not everybody in the room is listening. They may be distracted. The next time you say it, they may hear it, but they're not ready to hear it. They haven't had a need to hear it.
Right.
And then repeating it again, maybe something has happened recently that they go, well, wait a minute, that resonates with them at that moment. So I don't really have patience. I do like things happening at a faster pace, but I've learned that it's not about me and that everybody learns and receives information in different ways. It might be someone saw a slide, maybe someone listened to a podcast, maybe someone saw a video, and that information is given and received in different manners that I can't expect just because I want something for it to happen immediately, that I do have to be patient. And because I see our chapter being very successful. And I do have one thing, I don't want to run over your time, but
No, you're
just
fine.
personal about BNI. When I got into real estate, I really started networking with other realtors. And a realtor's a realtor maybe in another state may use me as a referral because we don't share those same licenses and you need somebody in a different area. But the realtors that I network with, they're not going to send me any of their business. It was building relationships. So when I send in an offer, if those two offers were the same offer and the only thing different was the agent, I wanted them to go, I know Jane. I know that she is going to do everything in her power to help us because it's a collaboration,
Right.
and to help negotiate and help these buyers and sellers both get their desired outcome. And I had gone to numerous other events and seminars all over the nation where I was just passive. I was there. I was there to hear the speaker. I may have introduced myself to 5 people, but I was not there actively telling them who I am. And the tools that I have received in BNI, the 60-second commercial, being able to say, this is who I am and this is why you should use me. I went to an event in just October. And I went and I saw it in a totally different way than I'd ever seen it before. I've gone for 5 years and I had never asked anybody for a referral. Well, let me tell you, I was walking up to everybody, introducing myself. I had business cards. Next year, I'm probably going to have koozies or something, keychains or something I'm going to elevate it. But I was so excited about it because I just wasn't there. I was actually participating in what could bring my business, help me be more successful in getting referrals.
Awesome. So, if you could look back at the moment that you decided to leave being a dental hygienist and what you would tell yourself about what you'd learn and what you'd become and what impact you would have along the way, what would you say to yourself back then?
Go for it.
Okay.
Do it. Put a plan in place. Get as much information as you can. And don't hold back. Don't let other people's perceptions of who you have been hold you back, or the fear of failure hold you back, because, if you do all of the planning and do all the steps of the planning along the way, it's going to be hard to fail. And I jumped in with both feet. Sometimes I have to kick myself and say, hey, don't become complacent of what you've done. And I know for a fact that I've done things faster and better than a lot of other people have done, but I can't rest on my laurels. I have to keep on
Achieving.
striving. be better, to achieve, and to, because I want to leave a legacy of not just money, but, I want people to know who I truly was as a person, and and to tell stories about how I helped and impacted their lives.
And it's funny because that was my next question is, as you think about your business and your community and your personal life, what excites you most about the impact that you want to make?
What excites me most? Um, Continually growing as a person. I think that really excites me. It's so easy to just feel like there's nothing else exciting to do. And there's lots of things. I've got something now that I'm starting with someone else that's in BNI, and how I plan on trying to expand my business, in 2026. So I'm constantly looking for something new, cutting edge,
Is
or
that
just
something
something that I didn't realize, because you can't do everything at once. I've only been in real estate for 5 years. You cannot do everything at once.
right? Is I is whatever you were thinking about doing, is that something you can share, or is it not quite something you wanna let out of the bag yet?
Well, it's not business coaching, because it's not real estate coaching, because I have done that with Tom Ferry, which I highly recommend. I list a lot of real estate coaching can be done just watching YouTube. I like Jared James, Ricky Caruth. I think I'm saying his name correctly. Um,
You
but
mentioned the collaboration with somebody in your chapter.
yes, it's Billy Leishman, which is the perfect listing. He is a real estate photographer, but he is going to do something kind of similar to BNI, where he will help on the media side, help businesses, and he'll only do one realtor, one lender, one photographer that way. And he is, and I hope he doesn't get upset with me, sharing it too soon, but he's looking at different ways to help people grow their business more organically through different avenues of the flywheel. I'm
Gotcha.
sure you've heard of the flywheel. So we're in talks, whether or
Okay.
not he decides to do it. But I will tell you, if you're a realtor or you're looking for real estate photography, I mean, he's the best.
It's the guy.
He
Alright.
has, I do all of my business with him on all of my listings.
Okay, awesome. So the last bit here is the quick fire lightning round. So just a minute or so with each question, or each answer, I guess would be the better way to put that. So number one, what's one word clients would use to describe you?
Genuine.
What is what's something you've learned from your family or friends that's helped you in business?
I don't always know everything.
Okay. That's a good one. Um, if you had a magic pause button for your busiest day, how would you use those 10 extra minutes?
I can't even wrap my head around that concept. In silence.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes that's good, right? Uh,
Hmm.
what's one thing you'd tell a brand new real estate agent on their first day?
Get coaching.
Okay. What's something only a dental hygienist knows about humans?
We have dirty little secrets.
And what are they? That's the thing. I was like, we know we got secrets. Figured there'd be something. Well, we'll leave it at that. All right.
You didn't ask for what it was.
Well, what is it? Tell us
Oh,
more.
no, I don't. We won't go there.
All right. Who's someone who's recently encouraged or inspired you?
Gosh, I get inspiration for it. I find inspiration in just the little things. I don't know that I could just name one person or one thing. There's so many. I would hate to name just one person. I mean, you inspire me. I mean, you inspire me with this podcast. I've seen you go from photography to business coaching. Um, to doing a podcast. So, I mean, I love how you're constantly evolving and growing as a person. And so if I just had to pick one right this second, I mean, the person sitting in front of me is my best
Aw,
choice.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. And then if your life were the title of a book or movie, what would it be called?
I
These are
got a
tough ones.
minute to even think about that. What would it be called?
Yeah.
I have no idea. You have stumped me on that. I don't
All
I
right.
don't
Well, I'll ask
know.
you two more, and then if you think of it, you can come back with it.
Okay.
What's something that instantly lifts your mood even on a tough day?
Someone telling me that they appreciated something that I had done for them.
Okay. And if your dogs could describe your work day, what would they say about you?
She's never hung.
Oh. All righty. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, for helping people smile from one way to another. Your dedication, consistency, and care show up in what you do. And I know that you have great heart and great excellence. So I appreciate you being here and being a guest on the podcast.
Well, it was an honor to be here and to be asked to share this experience with you. It was fun. Um, I still don't have a title for that movie.
You're going to come
That's a
back to me
great
later.
question. Okay, no, I'll be thinking about it all day long
Yeah.
now.
I stumped you.
But
All
thanks
right.
for
Well,
having me.
oh, my pleasure. All right. And for our listeners, remember, subscribing is the easiest way to give me a referral that doesn't cost a thing but a click. So if you have not already subscribed, please do. Please leave me comments and share because that also helps. And if today's episode inspired you to want to know more about your own Clifton strengths and then apply them to what you do for your life or your work, I do coaching on that, so you can find out more information on BNI, the Perfect 100 website, or tammyzurak.com. But I thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next time on the Perfect 100. Thanks for listening to the Perfect 100. If today's episode sparked a new idea or inspired you to show up differently in your chapter, share it with your team, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you're curious about your own Clifton strengths and how to bring out the best in yourself or your chapter or your business, head to tammyzurak.com to learn more about building your superpowers into everything you do. Keep showing up, keep connecting, and keep building your Perfect 100.